Hello everyone, my name is Braden, this is Airless Quill 9, and in today's video, we are going to talk about fungi. These are deadly spores and predatory polyps that reside in the Underdark, of all places. Though, I imagine they can be found on the material plane as well. The 2024 Monster Manual does state, however, that the dank, sunless Underdark is a fertile breeding ground for weird and dangerous fungi. And that is indeed what we are going to talk about today. We're going to talk about weird and dangerous fungi in the 2024 Monster Manual. So let's go ahead and get straight to it. The first of these fungi that we are going to talk about are Gas Spore Fungi. Gas spores are floating orbicular fungi with rhizome growths and protuberances that resemble the stalks and eyes of beholders. If destroyed, a gas spore explodes in a poisonous burst that can infect creatures and slay them in hours. Infected corpses spawn more gas spores that grow to full size in a matter of days. Now we have the 2024 stat block on the left and the 2014 stat block on the right for everyone to see what changes have been made, but we're going to talk real quick about the 2024 stat block. So the Gas Spore Fungus is a large plant which is unaligned. They have an AC of 8 and initiative of -5. They have 13 hit points, a speed of 5 feet, and a fly speed of 10 feet with hover. For their ability scores, they have a strength of 5, a dexterity of 1, a constitution of 3, an intelligence, wisdom, and charisma of 1. Immunities, they are immune to poison damage, as well as the blinded, charmed, deafened, frightened, paralyzed, poisoned, and prone conditions. For their senses, they have blind sight of 30 feet and a passive perception of 5. Languages, they know none, and they are challenge rating 1/2 creature, which means they have 100 experience points and a proficiency bonus of +2. For their traits, the Gas Spore Fungus has Death Burst. This states that the gas spore bursts when it dies. This causes a Constitution saving throw, DC 10, and a 20-foot emanation originating from the gas spore, affecting each creature within. On a failure, the target takes 3d6 poison damage and has the poison condition for 1d12 hours. Unless the poison condition is removed, the target dies at the end of that time and sprouts 2d4 tiny gas spore fungi, each with 1 hit point. After 2d6 days, they become large and have 13 hit points. Finally, for its actions, the Gas Spore Fungus has a Tendril attack. This is a melee attack roll, +0 to hit, and a reach of 5 feet. On a hit, it deals 1d6 poison damage, and the target has the poison condition until the end of its next turn. Now, there are quite a few changes to the Gas Spore Fungus from its 2014 counterpart, as we can see here. First noticeable change is that the Gas Spore Fungus had a armor class increase, as well as a hit point increase, which is quite interesting to see. They've also gained 5 feet of movement, which they did not have before, so that is also quite interesting. And blind sight no longer states that they are blind beyond the radius of that blind sight, so they can now see beyond that sight if they really require it. They've also specified in the languages section that the language they know are none rather than just a dash, so that is just a clarification there. They did remove the eerie resemblance trait, since that is more of a aesthetic trait, and they have pretty much removed those all across the board in 2024. They still look like a beholder as is stated in the text of the book, but now there's no longer a check to discern that they are not such. They do appear like it, but I would assume that it's pretty obvious that they are not a beholder. Now, there are some tiny changes here to Death Burst. The number of hours has been reduced to 1d12. It used to be 1d12 plus the creature's constitution score, and it used to give a disease to the poison creature. And by removing this disease is what removed the condition itself. Now it is simply the poison condition, since disease no longer functions the same way it did in 2014, so that is no longer present in the stat block itself. It also didn't state that the gas spores were tiny initially with 1 hit point, and then 2d6 days later they became large, so that is all entirely new. Then finally, the other thing that is new is the damage, and the tendril has changed. It used to be called a touch attack. It is now called a tendril. It used to only deal 1 poison damage, now it deals 1d6. And instead of there being a saving throw attached to it to become infected with the disease described in the Death Burst, now it simply just applies the poison condition until the end of the target's next turn. So these are some pretty simple modifications to the stat block, but in my opinion, it does function a lot easier than it did in 2014. It also really cleaned up quite a bit, and I feel like this is going to be a lot easier to run. Also, it's a tiny bit beefier than before, so take with that as you will. It is a large fungus, so I expect it to be just a little bit more resilient than 1 hit point as it previously was. So yeah, some welcome changes here overall. Next on the list, we're going to talk about the Shrieker Fungus. If exposed to light or otherwise disturbed, mushroom-like shriekers emit a high-pitched noise that gives them their name. This wailing might alert other creatures or attract predators. And as we can see, this is a pretty condensed stat block here. The Shrieker Fungus is a medium plant which is unaligned. They have an armor class of 5, an initiative of -5. They have 13 hit points, a speed of 5 feet. For their ability scores, they have a strength of 1, a dexterity of 1, a constitution of 10, an intelligence of 1, a wisdom of 3, and a charisma of 1. For their immunities, they are immune to the blinded, charmed, deafened, and frightened conditions. Senses, they have blind sight of 30 feet and a passive perception of 6. Languages, they know none. And this is a challenge rating 0 plant, meaning, well, it actually has 0 experience and a proficiency bonus of +2. And the only noticeable thing that the Shrieker Fungus can do is a reaction called Shriek. The trigger for this is a creature or a source of bright light moves within 30 feet of the Shrieker. In response, the Shrieker emits a shriek audible within 300 feet of itself for 1 minute or until the Shrieker dies. Now, since this isn't really a damaging creature, I feel like that is why they grant 0 experience. So that is a noticeable change from the 2014 version. They've also removed the false appearance trait, which states that the Shrieker remains motionless, or while the Shrieker remains motionless, rather, it is indistinguishable from an ordinary fungus. Funnily enough, the Shrieker in 2014 actually didn't have a movement speed at all, so I don't see why that would function. Well, or rather, it would function all the time. It'd be impossible to determine that it wasn't an ordinary fungus until it uses its shriek. But there are some noticeable changes here other than that. First off is the +5 to movement speed. They have gained immunity to the charmed condition. They're no longer blind beyond the radius of their blind sight. As I stated before, they have also lost the false appearance trait. And then Shriek does still work pretty much the same as normal. However, the Shrieker no longer, or rather, what am I trying to say? The Shrieker continues to shriek until the disturbance moves out of range and for 1d4 of the Shrieker's turns afterward. Now that is just a full minute that the Shrieker shrieks, or until it dies. So that is a change there. But yeah, those are really the only changes to the Shrieker. So that's it for them. Next up, we have the Violet Fungus. This is the last fungi that was in the 2014 Monster Manual. So this is the last one that has a 2014 equivalent. So the Violet Fungus are slow but mobile, and they rot any flesh they touch with their lashing tendrils. The Violet Fungus is a medium plant which is unaligned. They have an armor class of 5, an initiative of -5, and 18 hit points, as well as a speed of 5 feet. For their ability scores, they have a strength of 3, a dexterity of 1, a constitution of 10, an intelligence of 1, a wisdom of 3, and a charisma of 1. For their conditions, they are immune to blinded, charmed, deafened, and frightened. They have blind sight of 30 feet, and a passive perception of 6. They know no languages. And they are a challenge rating of 1/4 creature, granting 50 experience points, and they have a proficiency bonus of +2. The Violet Fungus does have a multi-attack. This allows it to make 2 Rotting Touch attacks, and Rotting Touch is a melee attack roll with a +2 to hit and a reach of 10 feet, and on a hit, it deals 1d8 necrotic damage. Now, there are some noticeable changes from the 2014 version. They have added in immunity to the charm condition in 2024. They've also removed the blind beyond this radius for the blind sight that the Violet Fungus has. They've removed the false appearance trait. And in the action section, the multi-attack used to allow the fungus to make 1d4 Rotting Touch attacks. You would have to roll a d4 every time to determine how many attacks the Violet Fungus made. Now, in my experience, this did make the Violet Fungus either really decent for a challenge 1/4 or pretty poor. And the up and down of rolling the 1d4 to determine how many attacks the fungus could make was not only a burden on the dungeon master, but also it didn't fully balance the Violet Fungus for a challenge rating. Now, there aren't really any changes to Rotting Touch at all, but now the multi-attack simply allows it to make 2 Rotting Touch attacks rather than just rolling a d4 to determine how many it makes. I do believe, though, that this may be the only CR 1/4 creature with a multi-attack, so that's pretty neat to see. But yeah, the Violet Fungus rather is a pretty decent minion and can deal some good damage considering it also has a multi-attack attached to it. But that is it for the Violet Fungus, and we now need to talk about an entirely new stat block for fungi. This is the Violet Fungus Necrohulk. The Violet Fungus Necrohulk forms when a Violet Fungus colony infests and animates an ample heap of decay. This Necrohulk attacks prey and spreads fungal spores for its colony. And this is a pretty interesting stat block, so let's take a look at it. So the Violet Fungus Necrohulk is a large plant, neutral evil in alignment, which is quite interesting. They have an armor class of 17, an initiative of +4. They have 123 hit points, which makes them the highest challenge rating, the highest hit point fungus in the Monster Manual. They have a speed of 40 feet. They have a strength score of 19, a dexterity score of 12, a constitution score of 18, an intelligence score of 7, a wisdom score of 14, and a charisma score of 10. For their immunities, the Necrohulk is immune to necrotic and poison damage. It is also immune to the blinded, charmed, deafened, frightened, and poisoned conditions. The Necrohulk has blind sight of 60 feet and a passive perception of 12. It also knows no languages. And the Necrohulk itself is a challenge rating 7, making it a pretty powerful plant fungus in the monster manual. They have 2,900 experience points and a proficiency bonus of +3. The Necrohulk doesn't have any traits, but it does have actions and bonus actions available to it. In the actions section, there is a multi-attack that allows the Necrohulk to make 2 Rotting Slam attacks. Rotting Slam is a melee attack roll with a +7 to hit, a reach of 10 feet. On a hit, it deals 1d10 plus 4 bludgeoning damage, plus 2d6 necrotic damage. The Violet Fungus Necrohulk can also use Spore Bomb as an action, which has a recharge of 5 to 6. This is a Constitution saving throw, DC 15, affecting each creature in a 20-foot radius sphere centered on a point the Necrohulk can see within 60 feet. On a failure, the target takes any target takes 8d6 necrotic damage, and the target has the poison condition until the start of the Necrohulk's next turn. While poisoned, the target can't regain hit points, which is quite potent. And finally, on a success, they take half damage only. The Necrohulk also has a special bonus action called Absorb Body. This is a strength saving throw, DC 15, 1 medium or small creature the Necrohulk can see within 5 feet. On a failure, the target is pulled into the Necrohulk's space and becomes grafted to its body. The Necrohulk can have only 1 target grafted at a time. While grafted, the target has the restrained condition and disadvantage on Constitution saving throws. When the Necrohulk moves, the grafted target moves with it. If the target dies while grafted, its body is destroyed, and the Necrohulk regains 10 hit points. The grafted target, or a creature within 5 feet of the Necrohulk, can take an action, to make a DC 15 Strength Athletics check. On a successful check, the target is no longer grafted and moves to an unoccupied space within 5 feet of the Necrohulk. So yeah, this is a high CR Violet Fungus and Necrohulk. Quite scary to see. And if I go to the last slide, you can see the art there for the Necrohulk itself. And yeah, pretty scary creature there. There is a lot of terrifying things happening in that picture. And yeah, quite an interesting stat block, and a new stat block at that. So nice to have options for pretty potent enemies in the Underdark, especially very interesting fungus enemies. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video, so thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please feel free to give the video a like and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this. I greatly appreciate your support, and I look forward to making more videos for you. Keep an eye out for videos every weekday on this channel as we work our way through the 2024 Monster Manual. Until the next video, thank you, and I will catch you all later. See ya.